I'm Vincent Dignan. I'm a growth hacker and an outlier.
Welcome to Outlier on Air with Ever Gonzalez, the show where we interview the founders, disruptors, and mavens of the world. Learn how grit, failure, and success are all a part of the entrepreneurial journey.
Hey everybody, welcome to Outlier on Air, the podcast where we interview founders, disruptors, and mavens. As always, I'm your host, Ever Gonzalez. On today's episode, we have Vincent Dignan. He is entrepreneur, growth hacker, and founder of Magnifique. Vincent, welcome to the show.
Hello. It's good to be here.
It's good to have you, for sure. Now, you are living an interesting life right now. You're on the road. You're doing a lot of cool things. We're going to get into that in just a sec. But before we really get into it, tell us where you're from. Where are you calling us from right now?
I'm from an Airbnb on East 14th Street in Austin, Texas. I am here in the middle of my third speaking tour of America. I've given 47 talks in the United States and Canada so far this year.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, it's been very fun and one of the most important things I've ever done.
Right, and I want to get into this tour that you're doing, why you're doing it, how you're doing it, all that good stuff. And so tell us now, originally, where are you from?
London, England.
What's the vibe for entrepreneurship and startups in London?
It's real good. It's real supportive of first-time entrepreneurs. So there is, for instance, if you're looking for investment, there is a tax break known as the SEIS, and that's a tax break that's real good for investors for your first up to £150,000. And then after that, after the next 5 million, there's a lot smaller tax break. So that's the main thing the government does to support entrepreneurs. So that is something that's really good. There's a very supportive community for early stage entrepreneurs in East London, known as Tech City. So if you're brand new to it, there's a very vibrant event scene. So lots of events going on, many of which are free to train you in the ways of startup. There's been a massive sea change towards entrepreneurship in the last 10 years.
Nice.
Before that, entrepreneurship was kind of seen as a dirty word, and for people who couldn't get a job anywhere else, it was like, selling stolen goods from the back of your van.
I love it. Now it's a good thing, right? So good.
Yeah. So it's very much. I think they did a study amongst teenagers a few months back, and after famous person and footballer, entrepreneur was like the third most job that most people wanted to do.
Oh, nice. It's funny. So we interview entrepreneurs from all over the world. There are a lot of startup communities, entrepreneurship communities popping up all over the place. London is one where, you guys seem obviously a little bit more established. It's stronger there, and it's been like that, like you were mentioning, for a few years now. Do you see that trend continuing in this direction?
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, it's right now it's a choice. You can go and try and find a job, or you can get a job. I think that in the future it will be much less of a choice.
Really?
We've not seen wages rise since 2008. There aren't really new spots of jobs coming up. The only spots of new jobs coming up are for people who are technically literate, if that makes sense.
Sure.
The people who are naturally good at coding or social media or something internet related. So entrepreneurship, starting your own business, being a freelancer, being a contractor, it's only going to snowball. Like, there's less and less full-time jobs. So I really think it's a case of you may as well start now because it's coming.
I love it. So good. London is a great place and obviously friendly for entrepreneurs. So if you're in London or thinking about moving out to London or whatever, great place to start or to continue to grow your business there. So great. Congratulations. Now let's talk about what you're doing now, right? So you are an entrepreneur, like we mentioned, a growth hacker. At parties or at an event, how do you introduce yourself? When people ask you, what do you do? What do you say?
I'm a growth hacker. That's
Okay.
what I say.
and people are like, okay, I kind of know what that means. What does that really mean?
So that means that I assist companies in how to grow their businesses. So through conventional or non-conventional means, they can increase their traffic, email signups, their users, their revenue. I find ways to do that.
So, what's your background that you know how to do this now?
So 3 years ago, I was on welfare and benefits pretty much until the day I was given a check for $250,000 to start Planet Ivy, my first startup.
Hmm.
So what I did there was I had one revenue, and that one revenue metric, which was to make zero revenue, and one growth metric, which was to get as many people to the website as possible. So within 6 months, I had 300,000 visitors a month on Planet Ivy. Within 1 year, we had 1 million visitors a month. We then launched a second site, Screen Robot, and that got to 1 million visitors a month within 100 days. We then got into the Techstars Accelerator ahead of 1,500 other companies. We then
Very
launched.
competitive for sure.
Yeah, it's harder to get into than Harvard, so they say.
Hmm.
So that was a great experience, and I learned a lot from that. And then straight after Techstars, we pivoted to become a marketing agency. There, everything we'd learned in growth hacking traffic and growing social media accounts just made it a no-brainer to pivot towards that rather than trying to make money through ads. So we left the magazine model behind and launched our agency, which has been going strong ever since. And since then, I won Best Talk at South by Southwest V2V for a talk I created on growth hacking. And then a continuation of that, I have given 45 talks. And now on this tour, I've done two, and I have about 15 on this trip or something. Real busy with touring, but it's great.
So let's go back to the beginning a little bit. So, you started out. You said in 6 months you grew from zero to what was it, 300,000?
Yeah.
How did you know how to do that though? Did you already have experience in that, or did you just say like, I guess I need to figure it out as soon as possible?
Yeah. I had no experience
No
running
experience.
a
Okay.
business. I had no money. My laptop couldn't even run WordPress. So there was a hotel in London. It's still there. It's called Hoxton Hotel, and they have computers like MacBooks. So if you need to print out your flight before you leave the hotel, you can go on those computers. So I used to sneak in there and use their computers, and that's what I was running the company from.
Nice.
Um, until we found Google Campus, and then they had like a cafe, and then we took liberties, and we had like 16 people in there on the computers. They were going bananas, and then eventually we had to move out. So yeah, I focused on that one metric of growth. So it was essentially user-generated content. It comes through an editor to make sure the content quality was good. But we tried to get 10 to 15 articles written a day from a massive network of writers. So how we got this network of writers was I called up every university in the country and said, do you want to write for the coolest magazine in the UK? We can't pay you, but you'll have much better exposure then on your own site, and you'll also get editorial feedback. And people were really warm to that. Like at the time, there wasn't anything like that. And the best of our writers did go on to Daily Telegraph, Vice, full-time writing jobs. So it was a kind of training academy. So we had a lot of content being written that was good. And then we knew where to seed that on social media and social news sites in order to get views from random places like FARC, FARK.com, random social news sites like filmwatch.com. We would have blow-ups on Reddit. We would get featured on other sites like Huffington Post, Yahoo, The Week, Inquisitor, and that would send boatloads of traffic. We had SEO sending us some articles like 200,000 plus page views a month. So we were trying to eat traffic from all directions, and that for me was just survival. But I've since realized from talking to successful entrepreneurs, all the best startups eat traffic from lots and lots of different directions. They have Pinterest, they have YouTube, they have SEO, they have paid Facebook. Like all of these different channels makes them much more bulletproof if one goes down.
So when you started, you didn't know. You figured it out.
Yeah.
You're continuing to grow in this space and in your knowledge of what you're doing now. Obviously, you're on a tour. People are coming to your events. You're doing something right, right? So in the beginning, when you started, was it just you, or did you already have a team in place?
Yeah, there was a small founding team.
Uh-huh.
I was the majority founder, but yeah, I had a small team around me helping out.
Is that team still with you?
Um, the main co-founder, Lewis, yeah,
Okay.
he just redesigned vincentdignan.com. Yeah, so we still work together on things.
And so now, right? So you moved from that. You're transitioning into this speaking tour now that you're focused on now. Let's talk about that. Why the speaking tour can cost money, can obviously takes up a lot of time, all that good stuff. Why not sit back on your couch with your computer and grow that way? Why do you feel it's important for you to get face to face with entrepreneurs for you in another country, right? You're in the U.S. now touring.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I guess you'd have to go back to the start of 2015 or April 2015. I was asked to give a talk by an accelerator, and they offered to pay me a bit of money. So I thought I'd spend a couple of hours creating a PowerPoint on Google Slides. And when I gave this talk, it was like the room fell silent. People were trying to take notes.
Uh-huh.
And then when I ended, people were like, "Can you coach me? I'd like you to consult. When can you speak again?" I was like, "Oh, so this is something good." And I was like, "I don't understand, like, what the big deal is." And then people were like, most people who give talks just talk about themselves.
Yeah.
They give a case study that doesn't matter, and then they say, now you need to hire me to fix it. Where I presume that when someone gave a talk, they told you what to do. This is how you should do it. This is the software you should use. This is what I would use. And you gave them all the tools to do it, but no one does that, and no one still does that.
You
It's
know,
very rare to get any talk where people do that. So I was like, how do I scale this? So I went on Meetup and Eventbrite, and I looked up every single meetup which had the word entrepreneur or startup in it. And I messaged them all the same thing. I give a talk on growth hacking, 10 ways to improve traffic to your website. Can I come and give it at your meetup? I have a massive network I can invite. I didn't really have one. I just and then I copy and pasted that to all of them in London. And then I started to get big talks like Hacker News London was in this gigantic hall. And then I started to get a lot of coaching clients from that, and then consulting clients as people were talking about me. And then when I got asked to speak at South by Southwest V2V, I just scaled the model out again and then booked 9 talks with just 1 month's notice using exactly the same model, just copying and pasting Meetup and Eventbrite. And then I got so much business from mainly from South by Southwest V2V, like the conference, but just that whole tour and how I'd been received. And then the connections I made in places like Hollywood was really, really good. So then I went back to the lab for the rest of last year and worked on some things, and then started planning the tours of this year. So yeah, so I gave a 30-day tour in 45 days in February and March, and then I came back in May and June and did a book tour, and now I'm on the 3rd and final US tour of this year. So yeah, it's been really good, and there's been new clients, lots of book sales, and a lot of peripherals. And so the reason I tell like that is it never really hit me to do it the online way. I just thought, what am I going to do? Write copy and then duke it out with everyone else?
That's true.
And by the way, that's what I'm about to start doing now that I've learned more about it. But yeah, it just felt natural to me to go and meet people in real life. It's the best way to start a sales process, in which the rest of it can be done on Skype once there's normally one face-to-face meeting. Also, I'm not from America. I'm from the UK. And America is the biggest and best market in the world, certainly for startups and what I'm doing. I speak English, so it scales perfectly going across and giving talks. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like America likes that, I spend so much time there and I put the work in. And it also comes up in peripheral ways. Like, yes, there's clients and book sales, but I've been on American TV, American radio, countless podcasts. I get asked to do guest blogs. I get introduced to people. It comes back in so many ways because I'm giving value for free. Almost all my talks are free. So yeah, people are like, this guy really knows his stuff. So when the name comes up, someone needs a marketer or someone needs something, I get referrals every single day in my email.
I love it, and I want to stay on this for a bit because I have so many questions on this. First of all, people that host events, conferences, me included, we love people like you, right? You're the real deal, but you're coming to us and saying, I have this of value. I want to come and I want to, share it with your audience. And by the way, it's free. Every single time, for the most part, we're going to say, absolutely, come on by, right? So perfect, genius, right? The way you're doing it. It helps with brand recognition, and you're also selling sales and or selling books and, have the coaching and stuff. So perfect. It works out. Another thing, I don't remember how we connected. I know we connected online. I think it was on Twitter, and looked you up, invited you to the podcast, and then somebody else, John Richards from Salt Lake City, who I know and we like and respect, also sent an email kind of out of the blue saying, have you heard of this guy? We're hosting him here in Salt Lake. You should host him down in Southern Utah as well. And your name, obviously, you're growing the brand, you're growing the name on this tour. It must not always be easy, and it must not always be fun. But what's the toughest part of what you do right now in this tour? Is it the traveling? Is it the meeting people? What is it?
It's being able to accelerate new ideas while on tour.
Okay.
It's quite hard to do both. I can send slides and kind of communicate with people, and I have someone working with me who deals with most of the marketing clients. But it's a little hard to have a lot of mind space to work on growth rather than maintenance. So maintenance is making sure you keep up with emails, making sure the talks in each city are well attended through promotion and so on. But growth is, okay, this month we're going to focus on finally getting an Instagram strategy, or this month we're going to double our emails. We need to try something we haven't tried before. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to do growth and tour. Was partly the reason why after this tour I'll probably take about 6 months off and just work from London. America's very distracting as well.
Yeah, I bet.
It's so good out here. Yeah.
Any thoughts of making the U.S. home base?
Yeah. I'm starting to work towards a visa right now.
Great.
So yeah, I definitely am looking to move next year.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats. With you mentioned earlier when you gave your first big talk, you didn't realize that others, you basically are giving away quite a bit of the secret sauce, right? That you have to offer. Others kind of just go up there and give bullet points and then be like, hey, if you really want to know this, or show, if you really want me to show you how to grow or whatever, or sell or sell whatever they're kind of pushing, you have to come to them and you have to pay. With you, I've seen a couple of your talks online. You're giving away the step-by-step things that we can do to grow. Is that something you can continue to do, or how does that work now? I mean, basically, I can go online and copy the things that you're teaching us. Is there more behind the curtain that we should still be contacting you about, working with you in order to grow our companies and grow in a matter that that you're kind of putting out there?
Yeah, I absolutely. I mean, there's always more. Secondly, things are changing relatively fast.
Sure.
So, for instance, until about 3 weeks ago, I was saying use Crowdfire, tap in your competitor's Instagram account, and then start following their followers, and then you can, at a very basic level, start to grow your followers on Instagram by just copying their followers. It's not the best strategy, but if you don't have any Instagram followers, you'll find it amazing because it'll start to shoot up your followers. Instagram pulled their API, so that doesn't work anymore. So there's always little things that are changing. There's always new things that are emerging. new tools, new tactics, and strategies. And also, it's community building. Like over 1,000 people have contributed for my book now.
Nice.
Um, and that's only a fraction of people who've seen me. So yeah, so when I have new webinars or new books, I do have that audience built in. I have the Facebook, the Twitter, and the email list and the LinkedIn. So I have 4 bases of followers, and with more time, I can dig into more channels.
And it's working.
Yeah, it absolutely, and yeah, I've been the accidental personification of give a ton of value before you do an ask.
And I love it. I mean, it's good to see, and I was kind of playing a little bit of devil's advocate here, a little bit saying you're kind of giving away the secret sauce. Why would I sign up? But it made me want to sign up even more. The fact that you're that confident in the fact that you're giving away a lot of good quality content and still say you have more to offer, it makes me want to sign up that much more, right? As opposed to you kind of keeping it close to the vest, saying,
Yeah,
I promise, I really do. Just sign up and pay this much, whatever. So good for you. Congrats. It seems like it's working and it's resonating with a lot of people that we've talked to, especially in northern Utah. So keep it up. Now, let me ask you this. This works for you, right? The speaking tour, the being able to get on stage and do what you do best. But it seems to me that you're normally very charismatic and very outgoing, and you're good with people. Can this tactic work across the board? Across a large audience, as far as other entrepreneurs trying to mimic a little bit of what you're doing? Can with a little bit of work, can this work for just about anybody?
yes, but bear in mind you may not need to. The channel you need really depends on the type of business you're running.
I love it.
So if you're talking specifically about public speaking, the 2 use cases, the one that I think is essential is if you have a small number of people paying you a high amount of money, public speaking is essential. Because the amount of traffic you'll need through content marketing or YouTube to get a percent that has the budget that you can meet in real life, that's close to you, like not on the other side of the world. So it's just much more likely they'll convert. It's essential for that. The second use case is it's pretty good if you are looking to get very early users that you want to be close to, but it may not be the best channel for you depending on the type of business you're going to run. If you're an app that's looking to get hundreds of thousands of users, it's probably not the right one.
Sure.
Probably need to get brilliant at Facebook paid and viral loops within your app. So it really depends. But yeah, certainly if you're a freelancer running a contractor agency, then this is an essential way of growing a company, especially in the early days.
I love it. So now let's kind of switch gears here a little bit. Let's talk about Kickstarter and your book. When did that go live, and what's it like? And tell us about the book as well.
So it's a step-by-step guide, essentially for people who couldn't afford to pay me thousands to consult them. And also, like Austin, the co-writer, he doesn't know any consulting. He has a full-time job with a brilliant startup in San Francisco. So it was kind of like a book that would help lots of other people who would come to see my talk but had no way of getting more from me. Also, we wanted a definitive guide because there isn't one that's accurate enough. If you look at all the growth hacking books, everyone complains about the same things in the Amazon comments. There's no specific strategies in here. So it was a really good place for us to start. It had a clear need, and it was an experiment. Like, we did the whole thing with 1 month's planning, and then we just booted it up, and it's been a massive success and made like $82,000 in 2 months or so.
So it went live 2 months ago. Obviously, the touring helps. All those things help. What's the goal? What is going to be a successful launch for you with the book, or have you already met that?
It's been somewhat successful, but it's not finished yet. For instance, we still haven't got the video course out. Mm-hmm. There's going to be a second wind when it goes out on Udemy. Once the book and course are finished, there's also affiliates we can work with. Like we're going to hold off on working on affiliates because affiliates don't want to sell something, and then people go, wait, why have I got to wait for it?
Sure.
So like I've been saying to everyone in my talk, like when you have a product, the first thing you need to do is list line by line all of the different sources of acquisition. So we decided to do the talk while I was in Boston. I spoke to Austin, and the next day I flew to Denver. It was like a 3.5 hour flight. And on that flight, I listed 18 or 19 different acquisition channels. So it was making sure all of our LinkedIn connections knew it was happening, all of our email lists, all of our Facebook, all of our Twitter, all of the places I've given talks at who can give me shout outs in their emails, all of the startup groups and other places I'm connection with also to get shout outs. Co-working spaces to give us Twitter shout-outs. So we had loads and loads of different acquisition sources, and a few of them we've not even done yet. So we're waiting for the book to be finished before we get through that cycle.
And so what's the end game for you right now? I mean, what is all of this going to look like in 3 years?
So in 3 years, I can't actually say. Like 3 years ago, I wouldn't have thought I'd be running an online magazine. 2 years ago, I wouldn't have thought I'd be running an agency. A year ago, I wouldn't have thought I was public speaking. And 6 months ago, I wouldn't have thought I'm writing a book.
So it's going to change in another 6 months.
Yeah, I think it's real counterintuitive. And in some ways, you think, well, you don't really have a long-term strategic goal. But the point is that you put work in and what I call gold medals. So, like, it's been 3 years since I was on welfare, and it's kind of a procession of gold medals, so to speak, like achievements. So even if it doesn't seem like there's one thing I'm working for, there's constant achievements from working hard, so to speak.
With great answer, by the way. I love the fact, some people that we interview are like, you know what, in 3 years, this is what it's going to look like. 5 years, this, and 10 years, this. But I think I'm a lot like you where, somebody asked me that. I don't know. I don't know either, which is fine, I think. I have complete freedom to do whatever I want, and that's very appealing to me, right? And so congratulations on you being in that position as well.
Yeah. If you have one set goal, there is three things that can happen. The first is that you reach it, and then you'll be either happy or not happy when you reach it. The second is you miss a lot of other opportunities because you only wanted one goal. And the third is you don't reach it, so you're disappointed. So I don't stick to one goal rather than sticking to the way I feel. As long as the work is being put in and outcomes are coming out the other side. When you look at people like the founder of Twitter, and he was designing his short blog machine when he was like 14 years old, there tends to be a pattern that connects everything together. So I kind of think I'm like the CD Baby founder, and he realized everything he did from writing copy on CD Baby right back to doing a lot of writing. He's always been a writer, and I kind of feel like that's a theme that I've had running through everything. As Steve Jobs said, you can only join the dots looking backwards. So you don't have to fret too much about the future.
I love it. That's great.
Yeah.
With a lot of this stuff, growth hacking, or just there are a lot of different things in startups and entrepreneurship that people say, I have the blueprint, or I know how to do it, or, pay me this much and I will teach you how to, whatever, right? How to sell. I don't care what it is. And in my mind, there are a lot of times and a lot of industries and a lot of different things that I'm sitting here thinking, I don't know that there is a true blueprint or a true way to do it. People have achieved success, and I think sometimes it's accidental. Sometimes it's a lot of hard work. It's a combination of all these things. Your space and what you're trying to do is crowded, right? Do others, your competitors, other people out there, do they really know what they're doing, or is it just, are we all just kind of making it up as we go along? Do you have a blueprint?
For what?
For helping others grow, right? Accelerate their growth, their business, and whatever it is that you're consulting with at the time.
We have a series of tactics and strategies that we use to help grow companies. With regards to it being a crowded space, it really depends how you define it. Um, no one else on earth is giving more talks on growth hacking than me,
Yeah.
or has raised as much money on a crowdfunding platform for a growth hacking product as me. In terms of growth hacking agencies, there are some. They tend to be in the later stage, doing more of the paid, where we do more of the organic model. So it's marketing as a crowded space. Growth hacking really isn't.
Okay.
Because
That's a great distinction. Okay.
yeah.
That makes sense. So, you are, I would say an authority in this, right? And so when people come to you, right, and I know it's different, and I know that different companies do different things. What can we expect if we hire you? Not just buying the book, but if we hired you to work with us. I mean, do we get a lot of one-on-one with you, or is it more of a here's a course, or here's a book, or here's whatever? What does that look like if we hire you as a consultant, as somebody to help us with our business?
So you get multiple Skype calls. So I do everything virtually.
Okay.
And either we do the work for you, or I consult with you to show you what to do each week. So kind of brainstorming.
So it's open to depending on the need, depending on the situation. So you have a couple different options.
Yeah, that's right.
As of right now, with what you've seen, right? You've been out there, you've interviewed on a lot of podcasts, you've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs, you've worked with a lot of entrepreneurs. What's the one thing that we're getting wrong, or what's the one thing that we can do right now, tonight, right, to help us grow our business or get the exposure that we're looking for? What's a tweak, a hack, something that we can use right away?
So if you're thinking as if the podcast is a startup, I would look at what the 20-minute VC has done. So he is a podcast started by a 19-year-old kid in the UK, and he has a unique title, a unique brand, and he's focused on getting big names. And the more big names he's had on the show, the better his brand gets. And he's now a household name amongst venture capitalists, which are his group. And he's now diversing into a software as a service podcast. So the big names can pull traffic if you're the sort of person who can hustle that. Otherwise, you need to think in the ways earlier of how you're going to get traffic to it, and then working out the algorithms of the platforms you're on. So I don't know too much about the podcasting space, but let's say Audible and iTunes and whatever the other are, I would presume they run to the same algorithms all social networks do, which is if your page gets a lot of views, a lot of likes, a lot of comments, and a lot of traffic in a short time period, they will show you higher up in the recommended lists. So I would look at ways of increasing those. And I don't know, would I underline that word increasing, and write it in red ink? What are the ways you can increase those? And when you really start thinking about that, you can start to come up with ideas that other people may not have thought of. Here's a clue: Amazon Turk. You get what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah, so all of those algorithms run to the same thing. Medium, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest. You get a lot of likes, comments, and views. They'll show it to more people. So that's really all you need to be able to do for whatever platform you're on. So even on Kickstarter, if you can hit the top 20 by a lot of people sharing your page, you're going to do really well.
It's funny when you talk about it. It makes sense. It seems, at least in theory, that it should be and could be easy to do, but yet a lot of us, we still struggle with that, right? It's still something that we have to work on and hustle with and kind of do those things. Not a lot of people are doing the simple things. Why do you think that is?
Well, the main problem is you are in the content business, and everyone has an old-fashioned view of content, that good content rises to the top.
by
That used
by
to be,
itself, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
when you had a record label that had payola for radio
Uh-huh.
and good contacts at music magazines or whatever, or you were a film which had really good distribution. Yeah, that definitely used to be the case that good content did rise. But now everyone is a punk band, everyone is DIY. So you need to be able to focus almost more so on the traffic rather than the actual content itself. The content itself needs to be good as well. Then that's the thing. But yeah, if you really dig into what people like Tim Ferriss does, um, it's constantly using his reference book. It's constantly finding little ways to increase what he's doing.
So
So he calls it tipping the scales in his favor. I really like that.
so the model, if you build it, they will come, doesn't necessarily work as much anymore. You have to kind of put up signs and show them exactly where it is in order to make it work, right?
Yeah, I mean, like it, build it and they will come is one of those startup phrases that everyone knows but no one follows. The other one is talk to customers. Everyone knows they should, no one does it. Yeah, everyone knows they need to get more traffic, but it's really hard. It's really hard when you don't know how to do it.
I love it. It's one of the things that a lot of our listeners, I'm sure, are interested in, and no doubt are going to want to check out the website, your blog, the book, all that good stuff. So as we kind of wrap this up a little bit, I'll give you an opportunity to kind of tell us where we can find you. But a few more questions before we kind of go there. As you come across as very confident, very knowledgeable, all these things. But what makes you uncomfortable in business, if anything at all?
Still the unknown. So the trying out new things and beating old momentum. Like I've given podcasts where I've said it's become very hard to say no to money, but I get better at it. And then I think a few weeks later, have I got better at it? I haven't dropped everything to work on new ideas,
Uh-huh.
which would probably be the true call of saying no to money. So yeah, it's kind of a trap of sorts when you have something which is making money to not change. Or I guess maybe to get users if you're a startup too. So yeah, so being able to drop everything and lose everything for the sake of a new idea is something I'd like to be better at.
Sure, that's scary. I think we all kind of worry about that at times. Now, when all of this is said and done, right, for you personally, how do you want to be remembered?
How do I want to be remembered? Um, as I lived, and right now I am living.
I love it. Easy, profound. I love it. It's good stuff. Let's kind of share it with the audience where we can find you online. We'll have links to it online, but tell us where we can find you, Kickstarter and the website.
Sure, if you search Secret Source Indiegogo, I'm sure you'll find our book that's available on Indiegogo, which goes into a lot of detail on SEO, SEM, content marketing, all of the areas you can get more traffic. VincentDignan.com, my name. Add me on Facebook. That's my main channel that I use right now. I'm on Twitter, but I just don't use it so much.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, VincentDignan.com is probably the best place to grab me.
So Outliers, you can go to outliermagazine.co. That's outliermagazine.co. First of all, subscribe to the podcast, rate, review it. But then you'll also be able to find Vince's website, links to social media channels, to the book. Feel free to reach out to him. Obviously, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. He's open to connecting with all of you. So reach out to him. Vincent, this has been fun. We really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, for your words of wisdom, for your excitement, for the fact that you're here in the U.S., on this awesome tour. We wish you much success, and no doubt that we'll definitely be in touch with you in the future.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Outliers, we'll talk to you tomorrow.